And Salam Malaysia Madani, I am Olivia Nicholas and you're tuned into Malaysia Tonight. The National Action Council on Cost of Living NACO has agreed to allow the Department of Statistics Malaysia DORSM to develop new indicators to measure the cost of living standards down to the district level. Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim said that the new indicators would assist the government to draft a more accurate and effective program implementation. The decision was made at a NACO meeting, which also discussed several matters related to cost of living in detail, especially prices and the availability of rice in the country. The Premier said several short-term mechanisms have been identified and will be implemented soon. He said that he had stressed the need for continuous enforcement to ensure no one would take advantage of the enlargement of scope and the change in service tax rates implemented on selected services. He added the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry has conducted several special checks under Op Kesan from the 1st of March to ensure businesses do not raise prices indiscriminately. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Habibie wants the content of the Rakan Muda program to be made a national agenda by adopting a comprehensive approach to ensure that the leisure time of youths is filled with beneficial activities. He said the Rakan Muda program could also be a platform for strengthening national integration and racial unity. Dato Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid said he is emphasizing this matter following a drop in the Malaysia Youth Index score from 48.49% in 2021 to 42.43% in 2022. The drop in score shows that youths are less involved in activities during leisure time. He said if this issue is not resolved, it is feared that youths will engage in unbeneficial activities and become a cause of social decline. On the implementation of Rakan Muda last year, the Deputy Premier said the Ministry of Youth and Sports had exceeded the initial target of 1 million participants by attracting 1.11 million people through 4,132 activities. He said better coordination between ministries and agencies is needed to ensure that all program, data and participation in Rakan Muda activities can be consolidated to achieve the target physical and digital participation of 11 million this year. Now, this is regarding the recent controversy surrounding the sale of socks by KK Supermart featuring the word Allah. In order to ensure that such issues do not reoccur, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Dr. Muhammad Naim Mokhtar, expressed hope that Islamic agencies would be the platforms to preach and convey knowledge regarding religious sensitivity issues. Dr. Muhammad Naim said the efforts would include raising awareness among the few Muslims that may take lightly of the issue.
And when I read some of the comments given by the non-Muslim netizen, some of them may not have that strong or deep knowledge as to why this issue is so sensitive to the Muslims. In that respect, I have already instructed Jakim and also Yadim to play their parts to do a proper dissemination of knowledge to the non-Muslims with regard to the issue of the sanctity of the word, the kalimah Allah in the eyes of the Muslims.
The minister also upholds the decree by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim, who wants stern action to be taken against any party found to be responsible for the controversy, regardless of intent. Malaysia has secured potential investments worth 46 billion ringgit and potential Malaysian exports valued at 2.4 billion ringgit from its recent trade and investment mission to Germany and France. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, who is leading the mission, said among notable companies engaged during the mission were Axfab, Airbus Group, BMW, Nexperia, Bron, Michelin and Samario. These corporations share their investment plans and interest in establishing strategic partnerships in Malaysia, which will contribute significantly to Malaysia's economic landscape, particularly in terms of technology transfer and creation of high-value jobs in the country. Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul said Malaysia's door is always open in hosting companies from Germany and France, two of Europe's main drivers of economic growth and industrial powerhouse, which will pave a significant pathway towards re-industrializing and revitalizing the national economy. He said these engagements were also aimed at enhancing Malaysia's involvement in the global value chain, thus facilitating further integration into international markets. The recent mission, which started on the 11th of March and concluded yesterday, covered the cities of Berlin and Hamburg in Germany as well as Paris, France. Individuals who do not register in the Central Database Hub system, PADU, might risk missing out on government aid and subsidies. Deputy Economy Minister Dato' Hanifah Hajar Taib stated that the government, however, can utilise alternative methods to channel aid to such individuals.
Kaedah alternatif yang boleh digunakan adalah melalui pengintegrasian data pentadbiran daripada pelbagai agensi sektor awam termasuk kerajaan negeri dan tempatan serta agensi GLC dan GLIC dan terdapat dalam padu bagi membentuk data yang komprehensif mengikut individu dan isi rumah.
As of 12th of March, PADU has integrated 314 sets of data from various agencies to form comprehensive individual profiles. This includes information on 8.6 million applicants for the Cash Contribution Scheme STR for B40 Malaysian citizens. Dato' Hanifah emphasised that while registration with PADU is not obligatory, it is strongly encouraged for citizens aged 18 and above, noting that as of yesterday, nearly 6.03 million or 27.4% of citizens and permanent residents in Malaysia have already registered with the system. Up next in our business segment, Malaysian economy projected to grow between 4 and 5% in 2024. The Malaysian economy is projected to grow between 4% and 5% in 2024, underpinned by continued expansion in domestic demand and improvement in external demand. Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) is in its Economic and Monetary Review 2023 report said growth will be driven by resilient domestic expenditure with additional support from the expected recovery in exports.
We expect the Malaysian economy to grow between 4% and 5% in 2024. Growth will be driven by household spending, which is underpinned by higher income growth and continued expansion in employment. Investment activities will be lifted by new and ongoing multi-year projects by both the private and public sectors, as well as implementation of projects related to the National Master Plan.
Tourism is expected to improve further, while the implementation of new and ongoing multi-year projects by both the private and public sectors would support investment activity. Nevertheless, domestic growth remains subject to downside risk from both external and domestic factors. The central banks expect the expansion in economy will lead to a higher surplus in the current account of the balance of payments of between 1.8% and 2.8% of gross domestic product (GDP) in 2024. This is an improvement from the recorded 1.2% of GDP in 2023. Last year, Malaysia's GDP recorded a moderate growth of 3.7% on the back of continued recovery in economic activity and labour market conditions despite a challenging external environment. Meanwhile, BNM will ensure that the monetary policy stance remains conducive to sustainable domestic economic growth in the long term amid price stability. It said foreign exchange and monetary operations will also continue to ensure sufficient liquidity in the foreign exchange money and government bond markets.
Amid the evolving economic landscape, our monetary policy approach going forward will continue to be data-driven. The MPC remains vigilant to ongoing developments and their implications to Malaysia's inflation and growth outlook.
BNM said the monetary policy will complement the other policies to ensure the smooth functioning of domestic financial markets and financial intermediation. The central bank said it is committed to collaborating closely with its stakeholders on relevant policy measures, especially structural reforms. It further noted that these efforts would not only address immediate economic challenges but also enhance Malaysia's economic resilience in the years ahead. In another development, BNM said electronic payment, e-payment adoption among Malaysians continued to increase in 2023 to 11.5 billion transactions compared to 9.3 billion in the previous year. The central bank said it is on track to achieve the financial sector blueprint target of more than 15% compounded annual growth of e-payment transactions per capita between 2022 and 2026. This is on the back of the 20% growth to 343 transactions per capita in 2023 compared to 285 transactions per capita in the previous year. BNM said e-payment growth was supported by consumption activity as the total value of selected retail e-payment transactions grew by 17% to reach 592 billion ringgit, complemented by collective public and private sector efforts to increase e-payment adoption. BNM highlighted that credit transfer services form the largest share of e-payment transactions with a 43% share. Among the many credit transfer services, Do It Now Transfer continued to be the preferred option, sustaining a high annual growth rate of 32% and a 39% market share of credit transfer services. The central bank also said the acceptance of e-payment transactions among businesses, especially among small-sized enterprises, continued to gain traction. MIDF Research has maintained a positive stance on the property sector as it believes the sector's recovery will continue to drive new sales and earnings for property developers. It said the property price outlook in Malaysia is expected to remain positive due to healthy buying interests. MIDF Research said its top picks for the sector are Masing Group and Matrix Concepts, with buy calls and a target price of RM1.23 and RM1.91 respectively. The research firm liked Masing for its quick turnaround strategy and high exposure to affordable homes via its M-Series projects. In addition, its growing presence in the industrial property segment will support earnings growth in the medium to long term. Meanwhile, MIDF Research said it liked Matrix Concepts as the developer's new sales remain encouraging, while land bank expansion in Labu and Negeri Sembilan will further buoy earnings growth. Dividend yield of Matrix Concepts is also attractive at 5.4%. MIDF Research is also positive for the Selangor property market as the house price index, according to data from the National Property Information Centre, showed an uptrend for the state, supported by resilient demand for property in Selangor and recovery of the property sector in Malaysia. The upcoming Consumer Credit Act (CCA) is in the stages of review and is expected to be brought to the Parliament this year. Bank Negara Malaysia BNM Deputy Governor Dato' Jessica Chew said the bill is aimed at promoting responsible practices among credit lending activities.
On the CCA, it's quite advanced. It's in the stages of review of the bill already, so we expect the bill to be brought to Parliament this year. That's the target. Just to clarify as well, it will address consumer lending activities. So especially those yang sekarang ni not under Bank Negara or SC, they'll be brought under the bill.
She further explained that the Act does not address credit scoring services provided by credit reporting agencies, CRAs. This is because CRAs are supervised under the Credit Reporting Agencies Act 2010, which is under the purview of the Finance Ministry. Chu said the issue of whether CRAs can produce credit scores is something that the court will decide. The Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport is expected to accommodate 8 million passengers per annum by the year 2030 through the Subang Airport Regeneration Plan (SARP). According head of KLIA Aeropolice Sendirian Berhad Randall Singh, the plan is intended to maximize the economic value of the airport and the area around it through numerous development strategies.
For the city airport, as I mentioned, right now the interim project will double up the capacity from 1.5 to 3 million. Moving forward, there will be further phase development to 5 million and thereafter 8 million by the end of this decade. For business aviation and all that, our priority is to make sure that we have got enough hangar blocks for the business aviation MRO and hangars.
Currently, the airport is operating at a maximum capacity of 1.5 million passengers per year. The SARP plan aims to boost the number and generate revenue of up to 200 billion ringgit and open up 8,000 job opportunities. The rate of urbanization rose to 75.1% in 2020, leading to improved quality of life and life expectancy of the country's population. Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said Malaysia as a developing country has undergone rapid urbanization over the past 3 decades. Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the urban population in Malaysia was only 28.4% in 1970, increased to 50.7% in 1991 and reached 75.1% in 2020. He said in 1970, Malaysia's population stood at 10.4 million, increased to 27.5 million in 2010 and 32.4 million in 2020, representing a threefold increase compared to 1970. However, population growth in 2020 was slower, with an average annual growth rate of 1.7% compared to 3.9% in 1970. He added Malaysia's demographic shift is shaped by 4 key factors that impact population growth and demographic dynamics from 1970 to 2040, namely fertility rate, death rate or life expectancy, age structure and migration. He also said the life expectancy for a baby born in 1970 is expected to live up to 63.6 years on average and increase to 74.8 years for a newborn baby in 2023. Unemployment, the country's labour force recorded an average increase of 2.7% per year from 12.3 million persons in 2010 to 16 million in 2022. Next in our foreign front, South Korea and US staged joint drills in response to North missile launches. Thailand's Constitutional Court is expected to consider whether to accept the deliberation of a case to dissolve the Move Forward Party on Wednesday after it ruled that the party violated the constitution in seeking to change a law against insulting the monarchy. The party's liberal agenda and huge appeal among young and urban voters is seen to represent a threat to the status quo in Thailand. It appeared to be colliding with the interests of powerful conservatives and the royalist military that blocked Move Forward's attempt to form a government last year. The party's former leader Pita Limjaroenrat said it has a succession plan with a pipeline of talent to broaden its political footprint even if it is dissolved, adding saying that Thai politics was stuck in a vicious cycle. Move Forward's predecessor, Future Forward, was disbanded in 2020 for violating campaign funding rules. A Thai court ruled the biggest party in parliament had violated the constitution in seeking to change a law against insulting the monarchy on the 31st of January 2023 in what could set a precedent for any future review of one of the world's strictest lèse majesté laws. South Korean and United States troops held joint drills on Wednesday and practiced installing pontoon bridges to ferry tanks and other armored vehicles across rivers. Main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers and other military vehicles were seen crossing the Sembul Bridge over the Imjin River in Yeoncheon, north of Seoul. Authorities said the drill involved about 470 soldiers from various South Korea and U.S. military units, as well as 65 pieces of engineering equipment and helicopters from the U.S. Army. North Korea, which tested multiple rocket launches on Monday, condemned the stepped-up joint drill as provocative rehearsals for invasion and proof of hostile intent by Washington and its allies. The North had earlier released images and videos of their leader Kim Jong-un overseeing firing drills by artillery units in the western region involving super-large multiple rocket launches. Pyongyang has broken with decades of its inter-Korean policies, scrapping a military pact and declaring the South a hostile enemy state. China on Wednesday launched a satellite that will act as a communications bridge between ground operations on Earth and an upcoming mission on the far side of the moon. Chinese state media reported the launch as marking a new phase in the country's long-term lunar exploration program. State broadcaster CCTV aired footage of a Long March 8th rocket carrying the 1.2 metric ton K-2, named after a mythological bridge made of magpies, and two miniature satellites, Tiandu 1 and 2, blasting off from a launch pad in the southern island province of Hainan. K-2 will orbit the moon and relay signals to and from the Chang'e 6 mission, expected to be launched in May. The robotic Chang'e 6 mission will seek to retrieve samples from an Asian basin, acquiring lunar material from the moon's hidden side for the first time. Moon's near side always faces Earth, which means data transfers from the far side are impossible as there is no direct line of sight. K-2 will also be used as a relay platform for the Chang'e 7 lunar mission in 2026 and the Chang'e 8 mission in 2028. Still to come in sports, Osasuna denied there were racist chants from home fans in Real Madrid game. The Harimau Malaya squad could be a little wary and less prepared than Oman ahead of their crucial Group D match in the second round of the 2026 World Cup 2027 Asian Cup qualifiers in Muscat this Friday. This lack of readiness is mainly due to the players' fitness level, as they have not played in any competitive matches, including at the club level, since the 2023 ASEAN Cup in Qatar last January. Despite the challenges, left-back Daniel Thing highlighted the resilient spirit of the players, suggesting it could be a determining factor in their upcoming match. He is positive that his teammates will draw inspiration from their resilient performance when they drew 3-3 with South Korea in the 2023 ASEAN Cup group match. The draw against South Korea can be considered a historic result for the Harimau Malaya squad in the modern era of the football, after the two teams were separated by a large ranking gap, with Malaysia then ranked 130th, while the opposing team was ranked 23rd in the world. La Liga club Osasuna on Tuesday have denied that there were any racist chants from their fans during the 4-2 home defeat by Real Madrid last weekend. Osasuna, however, acknowledged that a small number of their fans insulted Real players and condemned the behavior. Real Madrid have filed a complaint against the referee who handled Saturday's game at El Sadar Stadium for not including in his match report alleged insults aimed at their Brazilian forward Vinicius Jr. The 23-year-old Brazil international, who scored twice as La Liga leaders, Real won 4-2 at the El Sadar Stadium, has been subjected to racial abuse on several occasions in Spain. Real have also extended the complaint they filed with the state prosecutor's office over hate and discrimination offences after alleged racist chanting by Atletico Madrid and Barcelona fans directed at the Brazil forward. The club also demands that necessary measures must be taken once and for all to eradicate the violence that Vinicius Jr. has been suffering. Organisers of the 2030 World Cup unveiled the logo for the tournament at an event in Oeiras, Portugal. FIFA announced last October that Morocco, Spain and Portugal would co-host the 2030 World Cup, with Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay hosting the first 3 matches to mark the tournament's centenary.
3 países, 2 continentes, uma única ambição: organizar Mundial que fique na memória de todos. Mundial que a história recorde não apenas por ser o melhor de sempre, mas por ser aquele que definiu novos padrões para o futuro da competição.
Infused with Arabic and Spanish elements, the official slogan of the 2030 World Cup captures the spirit of unity and anticipation for the world's greatest tournament. The slogan Yalla Vamos 2030, meaning let's go, in Arabic and Spanish, encapsulates the essence of unity and excitement for the upcoming event. The global most prestigious football tournament will be held across 2 continents for the first time ever. Russians and Belarusians will not take part in the parade of athletes at the opening ceremony of the Paris 2024 Olympics in July. The International Olympic Committee (IOC) on Tuesday said the athletes from these countries who qualify for the Games will be competing as independents without their flags and anthems following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The opening ceremony in Paris will not be held in a stadium but will be staged on the river scene, with teams floating past an estimated 300,000 spectators. The Russians and Belarusians, who will be competing as individual neutral athletes under a specially created flag with an anthem without lyrics produced by the IOC, will not be part of the parade but would be experiencing all other parts of the opening ceremony apart from the team parade. The IOC said those athletes who do qualify will then be vetted by a 3-member IOC panel in order to meet the eligibility criteria that the Olympic body established for Russians and Belarusians. Earlier, the IOC criticized Russia's plans to host their own Friendship Games later in 2024, saying it was politicizing sports and violating the Olympics Charter. The IOC said an estimated 36 Russians and 22 Belarusian athletes are expected to make the cut for Paris. In comparison, the Russians had a team of 330 at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, while Belarus had a team of 104. That wraps up this edition of Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, DOSM allowed to develop new indicators of cost of living standards. Till next time, I am Olivia Nicholas. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching.